very much. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the Game Show Show. So glad you could be with us here on this Wednesday afternoon. Okay, there we go. Now we'll stop the music. Kidding, obviously. Welcome, everybody, to the Celebrity Dating Game. No, that's Game Show Show. That's the theme we're using, the Celebrity Dating Game. There we go. I'll tell you that much. So, today's episode of the Game Show Show, I'm going to be talking about prize money because besides the besides the format and the host, the prize money is what really makes a game show. So, yeah, obviously when game shows first got started out and stuff, there were small prizes. I mean, really small prizes. I mean, probably 100, 200, a couple $100 worth, honestly, and that was the top prize back then. However, though, so like with penalties, with not penalty panel shows and stuff like that, there wasn't really too much of kind of big money, I guess. However, though, I guess I kind of hinted at when I said big money that once we got to the 19, I want to see here, I think it's the 54-55 season. Yeah, 1954-55 in the summer, a brand new show debuted on CBS. It was called the $64,000 Question. So that was really the first big money game show that aired on TV, was the $64,000 Question, and that became such a huge success that, obviously you got a few more, and shows that were already airing at that time, they were adding more big money. Well, they were adding like big money prizes to their show, like let's see here, 21, for example, although that debuted later on, like the next season after the 55-56 season. But yeah, oh god, let's see. You had that, you had the big surprise, you had Dotto and stuff that were giving away 5-6 figures as a top prize. So yeah, and then $64,000 Question got a spinoff called the $64,000 Challenge, where I guess it was basically the $64,000 Question, like two contestants that were on that show, and they were like dueling it out together just because, for whatever reason, I don't know why. But that was pretty successful too. And then, of course, they all got found out for what they really were, which were scams. Oh, I forgot to mention Break the $250,000 Bank. That was another one. And then I believe Beat the Clock even had like a big money bonus stunt or whatever during this time too, because I remember while I was watching the 2006 game show marathon, kind of re-racking that back, the biggest top prize for a super bonus stunt was $64,000. Somebody won. So yeah, so that was another one. And yeah, but once they all got found out, once the whistleblower, it was Herb Stempel that tattletaled on everybody. That's when they all got found out, and that's when they all got taken off the air immediately. In fact, Jack Nars, in an interview in a documentary, said that Dotto was like the highest rated daytime TV show like of all time. So that was really a hard blow to CBS, I'll tell you that much, because yeah, that just really sucked for them. Yeah. Sucks to be you, doesn't it? No, I'm kidding, obviously, because it wasn't a good thing for a lot of people. So, yeah, the fact that it was rigged and stuff like that, I mean, God bless. Yeah, Dotto aired basically at 11, yeah, it aired at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, and then that show got found out for what it really was. To be honest, I would bet you $1 million if those shows were not rigged, they would still be airing today. And well, here, I guess I'll say this. Um, because once these shows got found out, pretty much they were all canceled. The only game shows, well, to tell the truth, debuted in 1953 or 1956 or 57, one of the two. However, though, by the 1959-1960 season, the only shows that were game shows that were really airing in daytime, they all were on NBC, and they obviously, it wasn't the big prizes, I guess you could say. It wasn't the big prizes that everybody, was saying. However, or like it was for the $64,000 and 21. However, though, I will say The Price is Right during this time, once game shows weren't on in prime time anymore. I will say this: they what they would do is that they would give like the bigger prizes to like the home viewers. That's how the showcase was created. Like the showcases would be worth $30,000, $40,000. So yeah, they gave that. Plus, if returning champions were on so much, like I said, especially in prime time, they could rack up $50,000, $60,000 worth in prizes, and that was really a big thing, around this time. And The Price is Right was actually one of the top rated shows. I think it got as high as number 8, yeah, to 27.0 during the 1960-61 season. So, yeah, so game shows were still popular even afterwards. It's just like the real big expensive shows weren't on, but you still had your panel games like What's My Line and stuff, only giving away about 100, maybe 500 at the most each episode. So yeah. However, though, I will say once we got into like the 1970s, because game shows really had a falling out at the end of the 60s, because soap operas, at least on ABC, were extended 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and that's what really got a lot of game shows canceled, because they went from 15, then they went to 30, and then they went to 45, and now they're obviously a whole half or a whole hour. Um, Although I will say this, NBC was still airing a whole begaggle of game shows, and so was ABC, because they had Password, Split Second, Let's Make a Deal, the Newlywed Game. However, though, I think when CBS debuted Joker's Wild, The New Price is Right, and Gambit, that's when game shows really started to hit their foray again. So, yeah, that's when they started to become popular. In fact, even in like the mid 1970s, game shows were getting quite expensive even in daytime, because like Name That Tune, the top prize was like $25,000. Once Wheel of Fortune debuted, I mean, hey, that was a big show. Jackpot, their top prize was, well, they gave away a $38,750 super jackpot, and the max for that show was 50 grand. So you see what I mean? Game shows, the bigger money was starting to come back into game shows around this time. And really, they were like the top prizes once you got into the 80s. You started to see more game shows with five-figure sums for the top prize in daytime and in nighttime. But yeah, game shows really did have a falling out once you got to the late 80s and early 90s because of I a lot of people call them trash. A lot of people call it trash TV. Honestly, I won't give my opinion on that, because I would defend them all to hell. I'll tell you that much right now. So yeah, I'm just not even going to touch that. Touch that subject. But yeah. So Sally, Maury, Jerry, Montel. Let's see. Who else had big? Oh, Oprah. How could I forget her? I should have named her as number one. They kind of went off the air, and then game shows had a resurgence on cable. However, though, of course, since it was cable, the prices are cheap. However, though, I think, well, and the reason why we had this topic to begin with, because once August of '99 hit, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire really brought back game shows into what we know and love today. So, yeah, that was really exciting stuff. I'm sure back then I wish I was alive for that, but I wasn't. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, the $1 million was like the big, obviously, draw to the show. And then after that, every single network had their own $1 million game show, except for the WB and UPN, because they really couldn't afford that. But yeah, well, actually, UPN could, although I'm going to get to why here in a second. But CBS, they had Winning Lines. And apparently around this time, they were also trying to make a reboot of the $64,000 Question, hosted by Greg Gumbel. But instead, I think the top prize was like $1,024,000, but it was still called the $64,000 Question. And then I saw another thing that said they were making another version of the show called like the $640,000 question. I don't know if those two kind of collaborated together or what. But I guess they actually did make a pilot for it because I remember seeing a clip online of it. So, yeah. But yeah, NBC brought back 21. Fox had probably the most successful one with Greed. I mean, to be fair, Greed and Winning Line, or not Winning Lines, 21, they had big ratings. However, though, I think NBC with 21, their ratings went down. And then Greed, it was on Friday nights, so obviously, I mean, don't get me wrong, for Friday nights, Greed was getting some good viewers, like 7, 8 million viewers a night. In fact, I think the final episode, it even says on here, the season finale earned 6.7 million viewers, so that's not, especially in today's kind of way and how TV works and stuff, was pretty damn solid, especially for a Friday night. So yeah, not too shabby stuff. However, though, Greed, 12 million viewers on average once it first debuted. However, though, of course, that was still short of the almost 30 million that were watching Millionaire. So, yeah, that was kind of a little sad, I guess. Besides, people were really watching NBC around this time because, Dateline and Law and Order SVU. Providence was also a big hit around this time. So, yeah, there's that. I guess. And then once you got to the $1 million game shows, all the big money game shows, you had the reality competition shows because you had Big Brother and the Survivor. Survivor season finale of season 1 got 50 million people watching it, and 125 people watched at least some part of that. So that's just it's craziness. I'll tell you that much. So yeah, they had. Those had million. Well, except for Big Brother, that was only 500,000, which I think that should be a $1 million top prize, just because I'm not saying Big Brother is tougher than Survivor, but I think if you're going to give Amazing Race a $1 million prize, Undercover Boss a $1 million prize, let's see, what's the other big show there? Oh, The Summit, which premiered this season. I think if you're going to award $1 million to that show, then you need to award $1 million to Big Brother winners as well. However, though, I think no way Big Brother would be more expensive to produce than like The Amazing Race or Survivor. There's no way. Because that's the only reason I could think of that would explain why Big Brother only now it's 750,000, but I mean, I guess to be fair, you have the second place 50,000 and then America's Favorite House guests at 25,000, but still that's only $825,000. So yeah, that's just me. And then yeah, once the early 2000s continued, you had another notable show was The Chair, and that gave out $250,000. So obviously not as much as the real big money game shows. But yeah, you also had Weakest Link too as well. I can't forget about that. I mean, how could you forget about the Weakest Link? That had $1 million top prize. And then yeah, so that was pretty much it in terms of the big money game shows that continued to air. Yeah, by about 2005, 2006, Millionaire, I think, was really the only one notably that was airing around this time, besides like the reality competition shows and stuff like that were giving away, big prizes like that. However, though, this is game shows, not reality competition shows. So, yeah, there's that. And then once 2005 hit, you had one of the biggest big money game shows in the world with Deal or No Deal. Obviously it was $1 million top prize, and that really, I mean, it was one of the top rated show. Well, there was within the top 20 each night it aired in terms of ratings. So yeah, there was that was just getting going and getting strong. And then once they started season 2, the first week they were on, I think, 4 nights in a row, starting on a Monday night, and they had. It started out at the normal million, but the top prize kept increasing all the way up to $6 million. And then other episodes of the show had multi-million-dollar top prizes. Hell, you even had the frickin' $1 million mission. I mean, God bless. How could that gave away millions of dollars when like pretty much every time they had it. And then you had 1 versus 100 that began and became kind of a sleeper hit for NBC at the time because they started out with the show. It was only a 5 episode order, but it was getting like over 12 million viewers on a Friday night, nonetheless. So, yeah, they renewed that for a few more episodes, and that completed season 1 of the show. Obviously, it did get renewed for season 2. But you also had Identity, which, it wasn't a great show. The idea was fun, but I think the way NBC pulled it off, it just wasn't great. But yeah, so then you had that at $1 million top. Well, that was a $500,000. I'd be neglected to mention that the Price is Right also had $1 million specials in prime time as well. In fact, instead of the Price is Right at night, they should have a lot of those be $1 million spectaculars. Like, I think if they brought that back, you would get the top ratings of any show while they're airing new primetime shows on Wednesday nights here and coming up in January. So I'm sure if you like even the Chicago shows that air on NBC, you probably could get bigger ratings than those shows if they went that route. If I'm being honest, they probably could, if not at least up to that point. So yeah, and then once you go through the rest of the decade, you have $1 Million Password, which really it was a hit, but I think CBS expected bigger viewership just for some of the celebrities they had at the time. Like Adam Carolla was on the show, Phil Kogan was on the show. They even brought back Betty White. So yeah, and they had Regis as host. So I think because I saw the viewership numbers and they weren't bad. But I think for CBS, they might have been a little underwhelming, at least to me, for like the talent they had on the show. I think they could have done better. But yeah, once you got back to the later part of the decade, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Don't forget the lyrics. $1 Million Prize is right there. I mean, that doesn't get any plainer than that. And then game shows in prime time really kind of took a break. Or at least it feels like it did. Or, we didn't really have any of the big money game shows on. I guess Minute to Win It did have $1 million prize, and then $1 million Money Drop just fell off a cliff. No, it fell through its own trap door. That's what happened. I mean, I'm sure if you made a carbon copy of the UK show instead of trying to make it a US original, I think you would. I'm not saying that the show would probably still be on today, but it probably would have lasted a good 5 or 6 years. I'm just saying. But I think really the mid 2010s, once ABC started airing game shows left, right, and center, that's when the big money craze began once again. With more $1 million shows, because now for example, on ABC, I could go down the list of all their primetime shows and list the top prize. Match Game, $25,000. That's kind of Celebrity Family Feud, $25,000. But like the new Supermarket Sweep, if everything goes right, it could be over $200,000 in the pocket for a couple. Let's see, Card Shark, $640,000. $100,000 Pyramid, right there. It's in the title. Pressure Luck, $1 million. They brought back Millionaire for $1 million. So yeah, God, see, I'm surprised ABC has not gone bankrupt from airing all of these shows, because that's over just about $3 million right there, if not over $3 million. They're giving away at max every week during the summer. Like, that's craziness. Let alone, now we've got Celebrity Wheel of Fortune too. Celebrity Jeopardy continues to air tournaments in prime time. So, yeah, and those are, usually $1 million. Well, the Masters, the Masters is only $500,000, I think. And then the college tournament, wasn't the college tournament $1 million? No, it was only $250,000. But you get my point. Big money game show. I mean, money on a game show is just craziness. In fact, in the UK, it's not as, they don't give away as much money. Like, you don't see, except for maybe the 1% Club. That's, the only one I can think of now in the UK that's given away a six-figure sum. I can't really think of anything else. Oh, Deal or No Deal, that just got rebooted in the UK. However, the top price for that's 100,000. So they pulled what Australia did, although the UK version aired before Australia. So I guess because Australian Deal or No Deal's top prize was 200,000, and they brought that. Obviously, with the way TV is today, these networks probably don't have enough money to get back to that 250,000 or the 200,000. So yeah, and that's understandable. That's understandable. In fact, I'm surprised Channel 4, by the time Deal or No Deal first ended with Noel Edmonds in 2016, I'm surprised that show was barely floating, because I looked at, like, you can go back and look at old UK TV ratings, barb.co.uk, that's what the website is. And if you look at Channel 4 and just go to a random day, like February 2015, for example, and you look at the top 30 shows, well, one, the lowest rated program only got about 930,000. However, though, Deal or No Deal is not in the top 30, so it took a nosedive once, while in daytime. I mean, granted, it was in daytime. Plus, they also had like a promo, like in the ending credits, like of whatever, like, oh, we have this coming up next, and it was at like 2 or 3 o'clock, so it got moved up earlier in the afternoon. So yeah, but yeah, safe to say, moral of the episode is prize money is huge when it comes to game shows. And trust me, everywhere you go in the world, there's going to be a big money game show for at least $1 million. Like The Weakest Link still on NBC. CBS, they're, in prime time with, all those reality competition shows. Like, they're still, like, I guess you could say big money game shows haven't really gone away. Well, really, from that point in the mid '50s to 2000, or to 1999, you really didn't see any big money game shows. Like I said, NBC, it seemed like, was the only one that really had like a big money game show in daytime. Like I said, with Jackpot, because that was a $50,000 top prize. Hollywood Squares Hour, you could win $30,000, which is like pretty much 100,000 today, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, because I think the reason why they did that was, A, to draw in bigger ratings, and two, because CBS and ABC had a limit as to how much you could win on a game show. Like CBS, it was always 25,000 for every single show they did up until the mid '80s. It was $25,000, $25,000, $25,000. Like, that's literally what it was. ABC, I haven't seen much on ABC's like a prize, but I think the prize limit on that was like 35,000. So I remember reading that it was on a daytime show that aired on ABC, and I think the limit was 35,000. I'm not sure if that was for every single ABC game show, but that's what it was. So yeah, obviously networks tried to limit how much you could. Oh, Sale of the Century, I completely forgot about that one. That was giving out the biggest money in daytime TV. Like, oh god, what's his face? The big winner, Mort Kamens, that was his name. He got out of NBC in that show almost $250,000. It was only like $18 away from $250,000. So yeah, I think, to me, the bigger the money you give away, the higher the ratings you're going to get. That's all I'm going to say on that, because Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune still are the two top-rated shows in syndication right now. I think NBC... Well, no, I shouldn't say that. But, like, Family Feud too, although they're not really giving away... well, they're only giving away the $20,000, so that's why. So, yeah. That is pretty much it. I think, in terms of the talk. Let's see. Tomorrow's topic is returning champions. So yeah, and really how that has been a big thing in game shows. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all next time. Bye.